Good evening. Welcome to the joint meeting with the Finance Committee, Advisory and Finance Committee, and the Board of Selectmen meeting for Thursday, April 25th at 7 o'clock. We're right on time. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As chairman, I am now turning the meeting over to Mr. Conlon, the moderator. It's all yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is our annual meeting to go over the warrant and go over the motions that will be brought at town meeting and determine if there are any difficulties or unexpected issues and what the level of votage must be for each of the articles. And so we will proceed. Article 1 is for a ballot vote, so we don't have anything to do with that, but I certainly hope that everybody votes. Article 2 is for authorization to borrow from time to time in anticipation of revenue. It's a borrowing article, so it requires a 2/3 majority vote. We have some motions, but they're pretty hard to read.
A little small, huh?
When I was younger, I could probably read these things, but
You want to use these, Dave?
no, that's all right. We'll get by.
Are you actually reading the motion tonight? What the
Usually we
motion's gonna
don't
be?
read them, but if there's some issue on any motion, we should check it out.
Yeah,
But I can't read this one for two.
Jeff, do you want to come up and maybe go through some of these with us?
Somebody's got good eyes.
Well,
The one for two, it seems to have a lot of changes in it, and I can't read what
So
it is.
motion number 2, Jeff Blake from KP Law took a look at the motions that we drafted and provided some suggested edits to run through things a little bit quicker in some cases, or do things, maybe make some suggested changes on certain articles that we've done differently in the past. Article 2, his comment was that there's no law requiring that the motion repeat the entire article, especially given that Article 2 doesn't have any funding appropriated to it. So his comment was, instead of reading the entire article in the motion could simply say, I move to approve Article 2 as printed in the warrant.
Well, we will be guided by the town council. We have normally done it a little more than that, but I think that should be sufficient. I have to say, though, that the problem here is, for readability, is with Microsoft Word. Now, you hear today a lot of comment about artificial intelligence. Microsoft Word is replete with artificial stupidity. So that's why they make something that can't be read. So we're just going to have to deal with it.
On Saturday, you won't have the comments from our legal counsel in the margin, so it will be larger. You'll be able to read it better.
Well, it's a pet peeve of mine, sorry. Don't get me going. All right, Article 3. Yes. What do you mean, what about them? as printed in the,
They're gonna see, think it's this.
okay, so the question is, what about people who don't have anything printed? So we have the recommendations of the FinCom, and that's what's referred to, I believe, when we talk about it as printed in the warrant, right? And they will be available at town meeting. If there's a concern that people won't be able to read those or won't know what's going on, I think what happens is you make a motion the way that the council has suggested it, and then the FinCom explains what the motion's about. And if need be, you could even read whoever's presenting. Is that you?
I would suggest that outside of the meeting, because this is a change to what's been done in the past. As you convene the meeting, you tell everybody that some motions will have reference to the book, so that people who have not walked up with it, haven't studied it, can get up and get a copy, so that they can at least follow along.
We can simply just read the entire article
Yeah, that's what
instead.
Yeah.
It's a matter of preference, not a legal requirement, so we can read the entire article if it's an issue.
Yeah, I think maybe then move that the town vote to authorize the treasurer to borrow money to cover current spending needs, something like that. Okay, maybe maybe have a revision of the motion for Saturday. Because I think if we start explaining that there's going to be difference and they've got to go to the book and that sort of thing, that might make it, unfortunately, too complex for some folks to deal with, such as me, for example. So, Article 3. It'll be a motion, it'll be, no, yes, it is, because it's a borrowing thing, so it's 2/3. Yeah. Article 3 is to see if the town will raise and appropriate money to transfer funds, and I haven't seen how that came out. In the book, it wasn't. The transfers hadn't been determined at the time of printing of the book. So is there any borrowing in here, or is this all transfer? It's all transfer. All right, well then, it will be a straight majority vote. Article 4 is to raise and appropriate or appropriate from available funds sum of money for the snow and ice removal. Again, it's a straight majority vote. Article 5 is an article to amend the subsection B, the chart of classification and salaries for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2019. And the people will have to be aware of what is in the recommendation of the FinCom. Now, one of the things that we're going to do in this town meeting is we are going to have a more complicated way of doing ballot votes. So we are, Peggy has arranged to have some folks already determined for tellers. And we are going to try and we're also, instead of having stamps on the hands, which can wear off or dissolve if the temperature hits 96, we're going to have wristbands, colored wristbands, so the people who are able to vote will get a wristband and you can see them from a block away, who's going to be voting and who's not. But the other thing we're talking about doing is having like a communion approach, so that the teller will give out a line of voters will stand up, and their bracelet will be checked. They'll give a ballot. They'll rip up the ballot, and they'll put their vote in the box, and then they'll go back and sit down, just like communion. And the beauty of that is it will certainly avoid anyone who loses blaming the referees. But the problem with it, I see, is going to be very long periods where we're trying to do votes here instead of just passing them out and gathering them in. So in years past, we have sometimes had a ballot vote on this article. The town bylaw requires a ballot vote on salaries, anything that awards salaries to town employees. And this article does not award a salary, it sets a salary. But the article that funds the salary is the one that really is one that requires a ballot vote. And I'd be interested in your thoughts. My preference would be to minimize the number of ballot votes we have to take this year because of this new procedure. And I think that we can get away without having a ballot vote on Article 5. So anyone has any contrary thoughts or any thoughts at all, certainly would be welcome. But as explained by our stellar FinCom, there are two steps. One is to set the rate of pay, and then you have to fund the line item that contains the setting. And this Article 5 is one that sets the rate of pay, but it does not actuate the pay because it is not something that is authorizing pay. Any questions on that? All right. Let's move to Article 6, but I'd be interested in you giving that some thought as well. Okay. Right. Good. Article 6 is to fix the salary and compensation of the elected officers. So there are 5 salaries. Again, it's the same idea as Article 5. You're setting what the compensation rate will be, but not authorizing payment. So we will take that as a straight majority vote. Article 7 is an article to authorize the payment of prior fiscal year bills. Did any prior fiscal year bills show up? We have some. Well, this is the annual meeting, and at the annual meeting, the quantum of vote that is required to pay prior year's bills is 4/5. So we have a 4/5 vote required for Article 7. Article 8 is the omnibus article, and that is to raise and appropriate the funds necessary to pay the things listed in the omnibus article, including the salaries for the organizations, the town organizations that are listed there, which also include those people whose rates were set in Articles 5 and 6. So this requires a ballot vote, and this will be the first ballot vote we do. And I think we're going to, because of what transpired last August. We're just going to have to take the time to do it the way we're planning to do it. And this will be our first experiment with it. We may find better ways in the future, but we're just going to have to beg the indulgence of the voters. By the way, we also have spent a good amount of time trying to figure out where and how to hold this town meeting. So, you know what happened in August. We had over 600 people here. And usually we have something less than 200. And the seating, I think, is the seating that we have, we will also be augmenting by chairs that we get from the school. But the seating and standing room may get close to 400 or over 400, and it's going to be an issue. We'll have to have, we've got the fire chief and the police chief are here going to be making sure that we maintain safety and order, but we'll have to put people on the floor. We'll probably have to put voters in the peanut gallery, and we'll probably have to put voters on the stage. And we also are going to have, so there's, what about non-voters who want to observe? There'll be the usual few on the floor that are town employees or the press or people who are going to speak on particular articles. But that's usually about 6 or 8 people, not so many. But there may be some that want to come and observe. So what we've done is we've arranged to have televisions that will cover the town meeting, and they will be put in the FinCom meeting room downstairs and also in the planning board meeting room downstairs. If it turns out that we get more people than we can handle here, there, and there, we may have to move voters into one or both of those locations as well. So we're trying to make accommodations that will allow that to happen.
Dave?
Yeah.
The people out there can't hear that, so if you could come to the mic, please.
Yeah. I can repeat it. So
All
the
right,
question
well,
is, how do we accommodate people that are downstairs in order to be able to vote? And how do we accommodate them to be able to speak? So the answer will be, I think, we will, well, first of all, we're trying to get connection so that we can, first of all, they'll be able to see what goes on here. But we're trying to get a connection that will bring what's going on down there up here as well. So probably we'll have people who want to speak come up and get in line. And as far as voting is concerned, probably I'll have to appoint an assistant town moderator to take care of the votes down there. Well, again, if it's going to be a ballot vote, as in the omnibus, we'll have to send vote dispensers and people with the mailboxes so that they can take the votes down there. Whoa, how about that?
I'm printing copies of that.
Okay, that's much better. Okay, so you can see we've got a kind of a difficult situation facing us. We want to have as many people come to town meeting and to vote and be actively involved in it as possible. So we're going to do whatever we can to accommodate them.
How many election workers will be downstairs that would? Okay. Okay, so there's 5 people that won't be, that will have to. Right, but that's what I think he's talking about, people that want to come up and vote?
No, that's the election for, she's talking about that being the ballot election.
No, I'm talking about if they want to come up, because Mike had brought up the fact that they might want to come up and vote on the floor
Yeah,
also. So
Yeah.
it's 5. Okay. I just want to know how many people, you know.
yeah. Well, I think if we're going to have somebody be coming up from downstairs, we're going to need to have somebody down there that can communicate with us to let us know that people are coming up, so we don't overrun it. You know, while they're coming up, the vote disappears. It could happen. So somebody down there should notify us that somebody's going to be coming up. I'm hoping we won't have to do that. That's going to be a real hodgepodge lodge. But if necessary, we've talked about ways of being able to do that. So we'll deal with it as it comes up. So in the omnibus article, it's majority vote, but it's also ballot vote. So we will institute our new regime of getting ballot votes counted.
Okay. It's a lot better.
Thank you.
So Article 9. Any questions on the omnibus article while we're there? Article 9 is to raise and appropriate money for the water and sewer enterprise. And that should be a majority vote. There seems to be no borrowing. What also has salaries?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that will also be a ballot vote, a majority only. Article 10. Article 10 is to for raising and appropriating money from available funds for water and sewer equipment and paving. So that is, there's no salaries involved in that. So that's a majority vote. Article 11 is, again, a raise and appropriate for the rubbish enterprise fund. That has salaries, however. So we will have another ballot vote. And our esteemed clerk has printed up, has ballots, up to 600 ballots for each of these things that she's printed up. So we should be covered. Article 12 is raise and appropriate funds for maintenance of the compost area. And that's a straight majority vote. Article 13 is to raise and appropriate funds for highway construction and maintenance, and that's a majority vote. Article 14 is to amend the bylaws to insert a section dealing with new revolving funds, revolving accounts, and to establish a fiscal year spending limit for such funds. So amending the bylaws is a majority vote, and there are no, there's no borrowing here, and there's no salaries here, so it's a majority vote. Article 15 is to reauthorize parks and recreation revolving accounts, such as the sailing and basketball, 4th of July committee, etc. Straight majority vote. Article 16 is the series of community preservation articles. And we see the recommendations of the FinCom. We will go over these by the subsections. So subsection A is to transfer $27,000 from the estimated annual revenues to the housing account. Straight majority vote. Subsection B is to appropriate $10,000 from annual net revenues for administrative and operating expenses of the committee. That's a majority vote. Subsection C is to authorize the treasurer to borrow the sum of $400,000 to deal with the Nahant Public Library. So that's a 2/3 vote. Article D is to appropriate $160,000 for basketball and tennis courts in Flash Road Recreation Area. It's an appropriation and majority vote. Subsection E is to appropriate $5,000 for the basketball half-court, majority vote. Subsection F is to appropriate $15,000 for the Nahant softball field maintenance, majority vote. Subsection G is to appropriate $50,000 for renovations of the Council on Aging kitchen, majority vote. I don't see any issues with any of these things either. If anybody sees any issues with them, please pipe up. Subsection 8 is to appropriate $20,000 to construct new stairs for the Tudor Beach to replace the storm-damaged stairs. So that's a majority vote. Subsection I is to appropriate the sum of $30,000 for an open space master plan. It's not recommended, but the vote on it would be a majority vote. Subsection J is to transfer any estimated annual revenues not otherwise reserved to the budgeted reserve account for later appropriation, majority vote. And there, we get to the end of the community committee, and we go to Article 17. And Article 17 is to impose a local sales tax at the statutory rate of 75 cents per cent, 0.75% on the sale of restaurant meals. Excuse me a moment. You happen to know what the, I don't, it's just a majority? Impose a tax is just a majority? I mean, all right. Yeah, there are some provisions that require more than that. I just wanted to check. This is not one of them. Okay. Okay, that sounds good.
They better read this to be an authorization for the town to impose the tax. The actual imposition of the tax is to be done by what means?
The state collects it, right?
I'm sorry?
The state collects it and pays the town. The state will collect the money from the restaurant, and then the state will pay the town.
Well, my question is whether there's any other action that ought to be taken at town meeting other than the authorization of the town to impose the tax. In other words, I sense it could be argued by somebody who's writing it, that there was no action by the town to impose the tax to be collected by the state. The authorization is one thing, and actual imposition may be another. And if we want to do it, it seems to me we ought to do it.
I think the state had adopted that, didn't they, a couple of years ago? They adopted the sales.
Hold on. The state adopted this in 2007, Mike, and they do all the legwork. They file a meals tax, and each town was allowed to raise their meals tax by 0.75%. And that money comes right to us from the Department of Revenue, and I think that's all we have to do.
So,
The statute calls for that.
so I think also this motion for 17, I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 64L, Section 2A, authorizing the town to impose a local sales tax at the statutory rate of 0.75% on the sale of restaurant meals originating within the town. So authorizing the town to impose it, I think that puts it in the hands of the selectmen.
Not just have the motion that says, and to impose the tax. The downside of that.
Want to submit that for, no,
Mr. Moderator, there's not a soul out there in town that can hear what's happening. So, I mean, they're there because I've heard it for 3 years.
so,
People should come to the mic,
yeah, I
or
hear you.
you can repeat what they're saying.
Let me repeat what's, actually, why don't you read what you just read into the record?
I'd be happy to. Chapter 64L, Section 2C states, "This section shall take effect in a municipality on the first day of the calendar year following 30 days after its acceptance by the municipality," et cetera, et cetera.
Self-executing.
So it's self-executed.
All right. Done. All right, so Article 18 is to raise and appropriate from available funds $25,000 for other post-employment benefits liability trust fund. That's a straight majority vote. Article 19 is to raise and appropriate the fund, $100,000 for the stabilization fund, provided that the appropriation is expressly contingent on approval of the voters of the town of an election, at an election of Proposition 2.5 override, or take other actions. So it's just an appropriation of money that is contingently being made available by the override, majority vote.
Mr. Moderator, so is so is Article 18. So Article 18 and 19 are both contingent upon the passage of the override.
I see, yeah, you're right. And they're both majority votes. Article 20. So it's a kind of a mixture. Says, raise and appropriate from available funds, or raise by borrowing the sum of $476,000 for the costs associated with the repair of storm damage. So I think because the option of borrowing is involved, this is going to be a 2/3 vote.
That,
No? Oh, the motion is?
Oh, so raise and appropriate.
Yeah, the intent there is not for a borrowing. That as well is contingent upon the passage of the override. It would not be a borrowing, it would be an appropriation.
But it does say raise by borrowing, that could be confusing.
In the warrant article, but I think we clarified it in the motion.
Well,
Okay.
if the motion is limited to raise and appropriate, then it'll be a majority vote.
Can you, I'm sorry, Mike, can you jump to the mic?
Yeah.
I understand that the motion is limited to raising the funds by additional tax and not by borrowing, as was stated in the article, the warrant article. But if the motion fails, then does that leave us up a creek? Do we need to borrow? Okay, we've already borrowed and paid.
Correct. The funds have already been borrowed under an emergency borrowing. This, if the override passes, this would appropriate this sum of money towards paying down that emergency borrowing.
We'll retire the indebtedness, in other words.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
So just to make triply clear, if the override fails, there will be no borrowing. It's already been borrowed.
Correct.
Okay. So it's a straight majority vote. All right. Article 21 is appropriation of $80,000 for paving through the town. Straight majority vote. Or by borrowing. Ha. Okay, then it's going to be 2/3. Well, it's good to have the motions. So I will repeat, but what the town council said is that the motion, first of all, the article had borrowing mentioned towards the end of it. And so the motion is, let's see. I move that the town appropriate $80,000 to pay cost of paving throughout the town, including the payment of any other cost incidental related to thereto, and to meet the appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the selectmen, is authorized to borrow. So it's a borrowing article, a 2/3 majority vote. Article 22 is to raise by borrowing $50,000 to be applied to the Massachusetts Water Resource Authority. So that's a 2/3 majority vote. Article 23 is to see if the town will raise and appropriate $2,500, which goes towards the fire dispatch equipment maintenance and upgrades. That seems to be a majority vote. Article 24 is to raise and appropriate or raise by borrowing. So what's the motion come out on 24? So then 24 will be two-thirds majority. Article 25 is green community LED conversion. And again, it says, transfer from available funds, borrow or otherwise provide. I mean, that's, we're talking about theft here? We're just talking about borrowing or appropriation. We're not going to steal any money or do anything like that, I'm sure. But how does the motion come out? Is it a borrowing? All right. So that's a two-thirds. I wonder what else was in the mind of the framer of the article. At any rate, 26 is to amend the bylaw to reset the date for the annual town meeting to the third Saturday in May. So it's a bylaw amendment, it's two-thirds, not two-thirds, it's a straight majority vote. One of the things that might have been considered in bringing this, you once again have set a quorum of 75 voters. And we really haven't had any major instances where we've had to wait, or where we've had to send the police out to the bars to get the people in to make up a quorum. But many towns in the state of Massachusetts have stopped the issue of having a quorum. They have a zero quorum. And I'm told that it works exceedingly well and avoids a kind of something that is really not substantive. Whether there's 76 here or 74 here shouldn't really affect what the town is stuck with. So if somebody had raised this to me or somebody, I would have probably said, think about that too, and talk to some other towns. But that can be put off to another day. Yes.
Is there any particular reason why the town election would continue to be held at the end of April, as it is now, but the meeting be several weeks later? In other words, why not change them to the same day?
So the intent of this article was in regards to the budget process, based on recommendation from the Division of Local Services. So that was the focus was about the budget process. An additional benefit to separating the two is that the election workers don't have the ability to participate in town meeting, and the clerk has two roles in that same day, juggling both. So it provides an easier opportunity for the clerk, and also allows those workers to participate in town meeting.
Understood. That makes sense. It also strikes me, though, that there's some consequences that may not have been fully discussed. Number one, we currently print and send out one warrant book. Or we're now going to have to print and pay the postage for two separate publications, one to notice the election and a separate to notice the town meeting. In addition, having the town election precede the meeting would make it impossible to handle a future override the way that we're doing now. In other words, have the vote on the override take place at the same time, same day as the election. In the past, my recollection is that override votes have been scheduled to take place the Monday or the Tuesday after the town meeting that approved the underlying article. And if you've already had the town election several weeks in advance, you've lost the opportunity to do to have either contemporaneous or a closely following override vote without further expense.
So, two-part question. So the first part is, yes, there would be the requirement for two warrants to be posted and sent out, but given that the first warrant is just for Article 1, it wouldn't require the a full book. It could be simply just a postcard even, so not too much of a concern. Second is that you have the option, or the Board of Selectmen has the option to decide whether you want your override vote to take place on the same day, prior to town meeting, post-town meeting. A lot of other towns have multiple town meetings in a year, so it doesn't, that option is up to you regardless of when the election and the town meeting are placed on the calendar.
I also think this is a very good point to bring up at town meeting. Oh, I believe this is a very good point to be done at town meeting, not with about 30 of us here. So if you could bring up that, what you just said at town meeting, so the whole town can hear it before they vote on this. Just a thought. Then everybody can hear it.
All right, so now we get to Article 27. Article 27 is to repeal the Wetlands Protection Bylaw that was adopted by the town at the August 27, 2018 special town meeting. And that was a special town meeting, let me tell you. This is a straight majority vote.
Mr. Moderator, if I may. Jeff, is it required to call out the specific section number, or can we just refer to it as the Wetlands Protection Bylaw adopted at the August 27th, 2018 special town meeting?
Sure, help yourself.
Thank you. I checked with the person who is very familiar in our firm with your wetland protection bylaw. I understand it hasn't been amended at all. I think this is sufficient, but if you have the chapter and verse in your bylaw that you could recite in that motion, that would work as well.
Okay.
All right, so Article 28. Is an article brought as a result of a citizen petition in which, according to the article, the bylaws would be changed to allow any town beach between October 1st and April 30th of each year to be used for the exercise of dogs not on a leash. That is a straight majority vote.
On this, it's listed as Town Bylaws, Article 8. And the question is, does it need to be specified as Police Bylaws, Article 8, since it's titled Police Bylaws, or is it fine as is?
Just a second. Peg, do you know? I don't have the most recent copy, I guess, in here. I think, actually, the ones I've got don't recite police bylaws. They-
Here's the, it is correct, it is a town bylaw, but somebody mentioned that it was also under the police bylaws.
Well, I don't think, so. It happens that in the version of it that was just handed to me, it's got a title, Police Bylaws, and then it has Article 8, Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Ways. And then it goes down to
Then
deal
Section
with...
13 is of the next page.
13 is on control of dogs.
Right.
So I think that when this was enacted, it wasn't enacted as a police bylaw. I don't think police actually can have bylaws. They're town bylaws.
Okay.
And I think that the Article 8, Section 13 adequately identifies it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. That's a majority vote.
So the procedure on these articles on which there's no motion by FinCom, you would simply recognize the proponent of the article to speak and move the action by the town?
I think that they have to institute a motion to do it, and usually if people have done it by petition, then we can look, they can look to me or they can look to town council for assistance in helping put together a motion that would bring their requested action to the floor.
Assuming they don't need any help, you'd simply recognize the proponent of the article to step up to the microphone and make the motion. Is that right?
Usually we ask if there's a motion. I may not recognize the proponent of the article. I don't know who it is. So we'll raise it and we'll get a motion on the floor some way or another.
Did you petition this? You did?
So now we know. So you'll be getting up to speak.
Oh, now I recognize you. How about that?
Yeah, when I had proposed it, I had a more full rationale that was not actually published in the warrant.
Yeah,
So I will get up to speak and address it.
all right, but you need to start with a motion. I move to do what you want to do.
Okay,
And so you want to amend the bylaw to do whatever you've recited.
okay,
And that you have to, anything that goes to town meeting, you have to ask the town to do some action. And that means you got to make a motion to that effect.
And what we can do, what's your first name again?
Scott.
Scott.
Scott
What you
Bradley.
can do is, that's Dan's script. He'll help you before you get up. Okay?
Great,
Thank you.
thank you.
Well, don't make it too legal. This member of the board are gonna oppose you on that. We have enough problems with dogs now. We don't need any more.
All right, but let's hold that for
Yeah.
the town meeting.
I want to let you know that I'll be getting up on that one.
Then Article 29 is also raised by citizen petition, and it deals with the town adoption of a 5G network development. And it requests that a bylaw be put into place that specifies that no infrastructure for a 5G network be installed in the town until the town has had a discussion and a vote on the issue. So who brought that?
Typically, I think it's written as petitioned by Nick Bocon and then registered at the
Yes. What, how do you spell his last name?
but I would suggest that, if I may, we also use the help of town council.
Sure. All right, so Peggy is saying that normally these things are identified by who the citizen was that brought the petition. In this case, the gentleman's name is Nick Bocron. And Peggy was suggesting that he also will have to have a motion and should take advantage of whatever help he can get from town council or anyone else he can buttonhole and get a written motion together so that we can make a record of it. That's what you said, I think. Good. Anyway, that is a majority vote. And then Article 30 is to continue committees, and that is a majority vote. And Article 31 is whether the town can accept gifts, and that is a majority vote. And once we get to those two articles, things lighten up for the rest of the day.
That's right. It'll be all done, Dave. 31 is the magic number.
Well, so I'm hoping, against hope, that we may be able to get through this on Saturday. I'm supposed to be teaching a seminar in New York on Monday and Tuesday, but we'll just see how it goes, and we're not going to overdo it or overstrain the citizenry to get this done.
As chairman of the Board of Selectmen, I'd like to thank the moderator, thank the Advisory and Finance Committee. You guys worked real hard this year. As all, but you worked real hard this year. I know because I saw the postings every Thursday. Thank you for your work. And I'd like to thank Jeff Blake for coming and Dan Script for your input. Hopefully it'll be smooth. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Take a 5-minute recess, please. 4-minute recess. We will now with the meeting at comments.
Well, first I want to Taylor service last 3 years and full committee of the town. Okay. T. He's a friend. He's very good select. Going to retire as selectman. Good candidate running for his. But that he's been a good select and a great person. Board's certainly going to miss.
Nice work. Thank you.
That too. I was gonna wait. I know you're
No, week.
back.
No. You'll find on the 6th. But at 8.
If 3 with my son, was it?
No comment. All right. Forum, please.
T, you know, I'd like to add the comments, select and hard the last months or so that I've been so helpful, and you've obviously well, but so thank you on behalf of your board members, the town hall we put together for you, the plan there for you.
Wow. Dedicated to the town. Oh, this is Scott. Thank you. I don't know. It's been a trying year for candidates, which makes me feel comments for the I was going. I'll wait, but I appreciate this thing, and it was vote, and it was first with my wife. It was which things are. I'm sorry.
Courts have. Sorry, the of FinCom here because it's have to do with Article 7 in the meeting citizens for before. A few questions about 27. I was
Interrupt for the last meeting. I took them.
Yeah, I understand. So I was sorry, but disappointed. More important, I was made by the comment in the rest of and the comment. All of the parents I have Nahant were sent full and discussions at hand, spawned understanding committee, so that their own and vote. Commentary 27 completely different. It's unsubstantiated opinion, speculation, and which makes who wrote this and felt appropriate to warrant. For my concern, the bylaws requirement rule create a burden on homeowners. I can tell months and law homeowner had a permit removed. 19 and warrant need for a station fund and pass a proposition half over an item increase the virtual homeowner fund. Do I see the word wrong for an increasation higher tax to me pleasant? I am part of the overhead of the town. I believe us to do other things at support of this point here for Article 1, the owner homeowner 1 permit and 7 is unapplied here when the does not appear as far as point warrant quote affects the homeowner within the area and not approximately 7 properties regulate quote. It may there probably have been additional to be those other homes. 2 of the 7 quote guarantee that the body anything to northeast cities quote based on presentation of the town 1 on these points from the beginning the bylaw force them. And their second the architect stated that they did because of 3 based on response questions made absolute guarantee that not expand further on properties. So they have been affected to some extent, and there may not be other fees. Don't we want to protect our possible? Point a law will be because it does involve all high stations. Other towns are and as aware that have high stations that are by the it has a these by legitimate. So I wonder we being asked to this inappropriate by we have high too. Point 4. The document to support quote you disagree only require several years 1,000 legal fees end quote. This is an alarm. Clear owners who will have opportunity to conservation of their decisions and of their environment. The writer discussion created a worst scenario for fact.com. Where is the alternative scenario the way this is, such as if the bylaw repeal, North will decide the lower now in the yellow zone and store parking lot form and hotel facility conference did at the East show. All our imagination as fact. That's what it was. In the describer quote, the be north the collections to the majority of Nahant owners quote to the center 2,000 16 households and 70 this affected owners that already wondering what is the magnified other why I find of the not a citizens of integrating the dedicated of the constantly appropriate to volunteer in the service now. We cannot on their of our issues are appointed elected should be on the fair judgment members of the finance who are similarly appointed, not or the member of the planning board or anyone appropriate who vote services. I appreciate the work that conservation.
Excuse me. Done? 7 minutes.
I almost.
No offense, but I bring it up to.
Wanted.
People need to all the time.
Peter, but also I want to know the and committee support recommend who and present given these three, all of those who this was under approved discussion that was sent their names approved with this discussion. Nature discussion has me so because discussion never met in previous.
Okay. Anyone else? Oh. An ongoing to bring up 30 Ave. Out of order. 5A. Already did 5. If you could give us, please.
Meeting last night, there was a vote that to dispose of small property connected to 30 View Road. The vote was giving to the select, though they don't have required to thing they're looking to do was given from the town and study, and they have a recommendation a few days, be a week or so. You have a cut currently. The rest, as I recall, not to that property. At the end of the day, recommendation still have the sell the so or they can addition of the town committee frame exercise authority to sell them. So I should say three options.
I have
one, take it under advice and do think about it. To a some of the near say you can accept the town-owned land and determine not property. You can reject the town-owned land and start the property.
You free is to sell. In fact, I mean, it will impede on it's Beth impede on their been cut the
It's out of the survey. Mr. I believe the person mentioned originally the survey encroach upon a small amount. We've amended that, scoped out that property.
So I'm reading here the taking the precedent that would be Nahant moving because it would Nahant port. I
think it sets a precedent.
I don't think it does. There were several cases I know that happened that sold had built the town price to buy it, and I'm sure years ago, and I don't know how long as it's that
Linda.
Linda and Nieces, and if Beth will, not gonna, there, I don't.
Well, I think they're addressing one, so choose.
We attended meetings and we went.
Any names?
Olson.
Ralph.
Wife Linda and did take in that all going to be purchased, could be set aside, be purchased, could buy her. I want to buy the driveway of the street in front of my house. The situation is the street is too high. There no been once we property, people can do what property sell somebody else and wall down at a stay that me in the street. Why should I be in a dead end? The is too. I mean, one man's floor boxing me somebody dead end street. Now a lot of space because she had things and we good neighbors. No wall there, but when she and somebody buy anything they and I'm on the should I that on a day when it's for too high for a reason 4 times all these issues discussed it. There's a reason. That's the way it is. You can buy that. Buy some of the. I want to buy the street. 10 feet of the. So I have a good. By 10 feet. By 10 feet. With
People are actually on that.
huh? Because I'm on the.
No, we're actually in property. Beth,
I and I got an Easties. Going to buy the too. I can buy there if I want. Around here, I have a half street.
the question of covenant.
Sell the property, selectmen conditions on property going
Okay.
and come into play. Help Mr. Cole. For example, the situation restrictions we can property the property be used to stairway or well, which is with
So no wall.
it's there now. If they can't throw there is a restriction on there.
We can put restrictions on. I don't. Time when you must too. Somebody else. Trying to be. That's all.
We consider it, just received the various council. I'd like to but next week.
A quick meeting to Saturday and then the next 9th of
I think and
Been going on since. Going on since.
was ready to move on. I didn't think all the neighbors and all coming up. I mean, we were questioning. She brought proposal up, all of a sudden, and wait a minute,
There a resolution to come up with? Resolution we the neighbors, so on. I mean,
Meeting I had taken once neighbors that were restrictions on that, not their issue, but apparently good. I didn't.
The town survey committee, and I just have the that I know we discussed is that last owner and then put in.
I believe it's 30 years, but
This could come.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
The person, developer, 48, and I want to find you the street. That was when I'm about it. It's a way. It's not a property covered. You also have a process to abandon the street and sell it. This is one of our, we want to keep the street. Our street is supposed to. We do you about all at the meeting, letters, board of select, members of the to hear that we were about this or again.
no, when Beth requests, no problem. If a problem, no problem.
Well, there was, because this time became a there was our profit that reassured.
Gonna debate. I'm just saying, there was all of a sudden, I'm with town council, the board to take a look, think this.
Elizabeth, I did not house. This is over. This is built. This is where we're never the location is. We purchase them. My house after the 19 fire. The only house is on the street, passing on the end. I owe Linda and Ralph different. This has been, I've been 4 years. I have a title on my house. 200 square. And there's to be a hardship. Read the whole front. The gate have to be changed. The meter. If I put on the side, I lose halfway. Meters can't the stairs have to be moved. The front is on the edge. It's an exhaust to us. Never would just horrendous. This has been too long that I've been doing this.
What's the price?
Owned, I believe, came between 5,000 and 6,000. All right, that's accurate.
I still think it should be because you can't sell this way for a front step. You sell our house. Other we need.
I'd like to do it tonight. I received you. True. I'm
reading. These came up before. Not there from anybody. You get the neighbor all of a sudden. So,
Interrupt the plan study finalized and sent it in, leaving it, within the 4 hours.
It's not good. I see that on the, can't just,
I think it to the top.
well, I can tell for option to see if, but I with restrictions impede on the else on that.
see,
That's the
I like
final.
to take away again. You want to get Cedra, but I don't want to neighborhood all of a sudden. I've talked with them, and it's something that everyone agreed to. I have no problem. This is the type that, and both parties would. We'll have time the idea of it and the step through to take. I would have to clear up. I have no problem.
What about the coal? They don't have a.
I have.
I just, it's okay.
No, I.
But
He needs. You've got real estate. You got people involved.
And telling me about that again, parcel, it's just parcel.
And he needs. You don't want to hold up. I just. Fair here. And I found ask when I came. And I just. And what it is, it's given here from the. And I just. Then it's imperative also and the board sit down from to hash it out and come to an agreement between. That would be, I would think, this would, so I'd like to.
I just made a clarification. Pre-process approaching on town property in
That area.
right there. Last three, it's all on there. The decision with base to be someday this decision making from in the piece from the C received paid report came to our that we came the information to it. This result.
I understand. I said earlier. I mean, there should be between Olson's and Passanese encroach. Let them purchase. It is no further wall, stairs, what? Because it is a. I can, concerned. So, like I said, it happened in Kennedy upon land. Actually, John Greenland, he took of it. So, and I mean, it happened. What?
We take it under.
We've already. I think that Beth all for her.
Yes.
I would,
Party set.
I'm the meetings was never heard about it on our whatsoever. I heard it real form. In the there are going to be meetings. I notified of them. If the, I would,
I think
thank you.
three involved in this. We should three.
Done at once. Yeah.
I mean,
By that, so dead end of that, Colson on the left have the Kelly, on the right have the piece. Post on the shows two halves at the end of that you can, property that we're about, the piece on the left house is encroached is of the wall. Street, the path encroached rights or property and authorized by town to abandon that. Everything on the table is the left. Since the study committee, I apologize. That's an easy. Even all of were those because we actually from other street, but meeting of Olson's wall was a den part of this part, and council was cut that out of it. We were to, and the church up to Ellie's. That the property sell portion wall is a on how voice it being it affects ways it does that wall have a piece, so it's a very difficult situation. Encroachments and all basically sell one. Are you going to have to go to town to pass an E by that portion? Sell it. Town going to issue encroachment order. Take the all three pieces back and do that is. It's a different. I'm sorry. Cards of to time to look at it, but decision because it is details.
I'm sure. The times. I don't. How would it be a union street? I don't quite that.
Like she said, on the
I understand
200,
can't
250 feet. It's big.
can't. There's no.
It is.
No. But matter those. Right there and looking, and I into the passage. I thought before we voted, it wasn't all of a sudden. Now, you know, I think, honest with you, to look at the advisement council, hope it shakes up. I don't want to be a quick vote.
But I would meet wants to sell it and honest, and so, quite frankly, I'm going to just move it along. So I don't want, Dan and Ben, whoever, can get it done for all the public.
I think we talked about meeting in Mainland Section Wednesday. Maybe we'll wait the board to attend that.
Those in favor?
Okay, yeah, I guess. And, you know, all of them.
Next item, business, back. Zachary, Department Superintendent, Mr. Administrator, give us.
Sure. He was posted to the town of Minnesota. Post filled our current interim superintendent on a 1-year contract. Tim Love has been doing and has been for a long, very valuable institutional knowledge. Tim stepping up in the meantime, helping out. Of that I've been on. Zach was one. His is in your
Right.
When you're interview has tremendous experience on works types, project experience.
Summer guy.
Again, of the infrastructure and you approve.
Mr. Chairman, I move and approve the Zachary Chairman of Public. Mr. Chairman,
Candidate for discussion.
Further,
I'd like to have the date would be
June 1st.
to the motion.
Okay.
just going to do. It's a single relation.
The, I want to say that comes with that.
Yeah, cause,
Probably.
oh, sure.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Okay, no. Okay, I think we need, I mean, Zach has some good experience with a lot of firms. I'm happy to, Zach, well, okay, I think, you know, given what happened at projects, you know, somebody like, I'm happy that we're hiring.
The resume, you looked at, he's going to be good hire.
Absolutely. The appoint. Oh, I. Unanimous vote. Thank you. Him being, you know,
On the background.
to appointment as all building.
I'm vote to approve the appointment Max S. alternate director.
Second. Very good. Very nice. He's the building inspector.
We're in the process of for an alternate builder and Max being the building Scott, his credentials, and so he's interim basis. We for
Other one, or, it's done.
correct.
Very, very
Congratulations to Max. C,
You got to
you voted. Gosh, get out of here.
certainly do. Had another one.
Don't say that. Those in favor?
Aye.
C, approve Ellingwood Church dates.
Chairman, I recommend vote the Ellen Chapel for the this is for the May 4th, 15th, August 10th, September 7th, September 1st, started 8. I saw
Will second.
Discussion. Favor? Unanimous. D, Music Nahant Historical Society.
the Board of Selectmen with the Nahant for the Society. June 5th, from 5 p.m. I see. Yeah.
Festival by Historical Society.
15.
You. Meeting, take care of it.
Wendy is the one that.
Ain. All those in favor?
Aye.
Schultz's appointment.
Okay, vote to approve Emily Shaw as mayor of the police department.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Must vote. Clear the fall. Plus.
Okay, I move the Board of Selectmen to declare the surplus material to be disposed in accordance with Section 6, rotary phase, electric phase converter, pan blower, a 2-ball intake valve, K12 saw, Varna 3K, saw crack, and DS.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Administrator. I'll be right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first is the town on the selectmen signed an agreement with former contract on punch list that to on the town. The things had about the meant that they used sampled had it tested and it came sufficient. We with the at the bottom elevated back reset and had an issue with on the some routing, so they've done that evidence with them. Next at the lowest we'll have our final section because that isn't enough at this the to bottom the So I'm happy that they came to work. We'll inspect in the month. We'll finally finish and memorial.
Some the other day. This never in favor, even complain, because I'm capable of doing it. And it is saying been hired. Inspection. I'm down with it. Take a real say. Look, that's what we should. That to figure out because still over it. All right.
Absolutely. I don't think. I've heard that from, disappointment things, again, it to me, but idea here, job, just get it, things that we've done, finish it, and if there are issues that we need to, we will do so. The try or the goal of mine was get them back, finish the major issues to and coming season, and then way, and we'll take a look over the summer. There's other issues to be resolved. We'll take that on.
House engineer. Good.
They will, once we do.
No, Tony, it was.
In budget, we've already,
Okay.
so I'll do those two.
So we get post here.
Actually, one is council on. I about a this evening, letting folks council on need a town meeting. Folks up tomorrow to get on the list. Your address. No, pick you up.
Announcement.
For the moment, it's been a pleasure with you for these. I wish Mr. Best. This is not the discussion in the audience. I just wanted to quote a few of the points regarding finance in first 6 to 2 in favor of repeal, abstentions, or discussion. The vote at meeting and meetings at and point right up. To the words would allow use. Simply, there are pages of the book. There are 16 regulations. There are before. There's a requirement of your court. Any sort of, to me, that onerous. If selection constant. Regard to the Concon, law affect everyone. 27 that are in the yellow, the existing zone were already covered. The west of those homes. Number 70 accurate representation. With the eastern in the elevator, they want to. There are protections and there are multiple. And this will up in court because this was that it is publicly repeatedly against Northeast is not solved by drug on it. So Northeast to work something to the higher and parts of the being addressed in a 1 mile with islands. It's interesting of the conservation's about its impact on water out of etc. Reasons for the does it argument the other night comes from up here more than so it should be addressed. Again, it's a ecosystem rationale. As far as the time cost for a case numbers, a couple of tens of thousands are the endurance of my comment of the community I've spoken with. So, best estimate. And finally, raising and a versus elected by all this mirror wonderful dialogue on Facebook. The fifth is appointed and com make does not control but the side the recommendation the fifth control do commission appointed control as established at the court. That's the distinction. We make the takes control. That's all. State that for.
Thank you. Again, you out there, and this is information be at the.
Do you want me to read?
I'd like to, because it's the thing that I wanted to, and then I'll have to do it. So at a board meeting, the idea of residents really power along 40 felt that if would be to help the area, the residents should temporarily enjoy the view, especially have because prompted out organizations fellow board petition which called for no from to Canoe Beach steps to this last board meeting example in our community has to, I know for if I had grade to all that I've run, I would give it because everyone angry might upset us professional out of 100. I'll to 5. So I want it for us to. We are working together, and we have. I just want to off my. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Pick up April. Leave on the curve 7 a.m. Okay, and the from Wednesday, Saturday, a.m. to acceptable material, grass, and waste, hedges, clipped, brush, tree, no large diameter of the stumps of any accepted. Leaves and other must be bags, compost, plastic, bottles, trash, debris. Be speaking on the meeting. I can compost there. Go to the spring. That will be Monday, 29. These by the current. We have one more. Saturday, May 6th. Be called Marine at 84917 an appointment. And I think
because we're done. Took a fun.
I guess Saturday.
I'll be sick. Only kid. No.
Gotta finish.
Goodbye. I believe the town attorney was starting way. My is for our new grader. Our letter came on and realized that was in need of leadership. We've spent years we needed Tony here to say that. In 8 months, Tony worked on meals tax, by the way, and I thousands, and yet anything in it. Give me an average of 88,000 to the fact that the money in there, thus he based a lot of the work. Realization, these things, FinCom and not correctly get this. It is get. Please have you being administrator. And his idea, he keeps us community during our use and ends up that moving to May was asked for years, but he so very proud to be lead charges administrator. Thank you.
I appreciate I'm touched, but really people that work for this, volunteers for this, you heard members, nothing with folks that I learned, and that's what I've been able to quickly is what I've had to come. I appreciate all I mean that I've been that we've.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. It's oh. Adjourn. In favor? Aye.